Welcome to the sixth episode of Checkpoint Radio, a mini companion podcast for busy folk who like video games. I'm your host, Josh Gallegos. If you like what you hear, consider subscribing to this Patreon or this YouTube channel, either for free or at the $1 tip jar tier. Sometimes I just have a hard time saying that for whatever reason. You'll get my video game newsletter, NPC Weekly, directly to your inbox if you subscribe to the Patreon, and updates when podcasts like this one go live. I took a week off last week, just not in the right headspace with everything that was going on both here, I had personal sickness, and then just things abroad in the country and world at large. So back here this week and looking forward to updating us on something I missed that really I could have updated last week, but we'll get to that. We'll get those updates. I put things up on Saturdays, so that's the plan to look for this particular podcast. While you're checking out the Patreon, take a look at some of my other work, like my piece on the backlog podcast, The Hall of Games. And it's not a piece, but the whole repertoire of my Hall of Games podcast is on there, and for your reference, if you would like. You can follow me on X or Instagram at Video Game Bard. I post all of my stuff there, at least tidbits of them. So regardless, I do hope that you enjoy. This is also my first episode where I'm doing video, as you can see, and I'm definitely going to have to get used to it. I bought a really nice camera, but did not realize that it was old school USB, unfortunately, until I opened it. So I need a USB-C adapter because everything that Apple does is now USB-C, which is to the chagrin of every single person who has bought their products in the past. So, yippee. That being said, today I'm going to talk about the Nintendo Direct that occurred on September 12th. Looking forward to seeing a lot of these games come out, but didn't get a chance to break it down last week, so we're going to talk about that. And then I'm also going to talk about Hollow Knight and the time I've been putting into the original title, not Silksong, but the original title of Hollow Knight, which has been an absolute blast. But let's jump into, sorry, I got a bug there, a Nintendo Direct breakdown here. So Nintendo had their big September breakdown, really awesome, exciting time, lots of really good stuff that I'm very much looking forward to, jam-packed. They really knocked it out of the park. I've been pretty critical of their recent other Directs, Indie World Showcase and their Partner Showcase, but it was because they were saving a lot of stuff for this, which obviously it's their own stuff, but even some of the things they highlighted, it was like, okay, yeah, that's awesome. So looking forward to a lot of these games. Biggest one, of course, up and coming would be Mario Galaxy and Mario Galaxy 2, but even quickly around the corner, there's going to be Metroid. So let's talk about what they discussed. They are, of course, going to be celebrating the 40th anniversary for Super Mario Bros. So that is into this year. So they're talking through all the different things that was going on with that. The Super Mario Galaxy movie was announced and a title given. That looks interesting, at least the concept of it. We'll see how that ends up playing out. I liked the movie. A lot of people didn't. It does kind of fall into a basic animated category of, just standard, silly, lighthearted fare. But I felt like they did a lot to, pay tribute to the series while also still doing their own thing with it. Was it Mario-y in the story side of things or in the even like humor side of things? Not so much. I mean, it was the aesthetic of Mario that they used, and then they kind of did their own Illumination thing. But I feel like Mario Galaxy has a lot more fruit to pick out of that particular tree. So I'm looking forward to seeing how they do that. And of course, they also are going to be re-releasing Mario Galaxy and Mario Galaxy 2, which is absolutely amazing. I have been dying to play that game again. They re-released 3D All-Stars, all the other 3D games except for Mario Galaxy 2. So they're finally doing justice with that, and I am very excited about that. They are going to release it double, like both of them separate. So I'm going to buy Mario Galaxy 2 separate because I already have Mario Galaxy on 3D All-Stars, which I got for the Switch. So why would I double dip there? Although they love to get you to double dip. I thought about it because then I get that package with both of them in it, but I'm going to be a good boy and not do that. They also had some amiibo that was announced and a really cool hardcover of Rosalina's storybook, including the original art and story and some extra stuff on top of it. That's super cool. I have toddlers, so I pre-ordered that already through Barnes & Noble, and I'm excited for that when that gets here. Great little thing to add into our repertoire of reading. And we read to her and our son every single night, so My son wouldn't read that book just yet. He's still too young, but my daughter certainly would, and I think that she would enjoy it. I don't remember everything that happens in it too, so it'll be interesting to go back and read it from that perspective. And it being, physical is definitely different too. They also announced a Fire Emblem game, Fortune's Weave, which looked decent. I liked the aesthetic of it, definitely distinct from what they were doing with Three Houses and not Fates, Fire Emblem. What was it? Whatever it was, the one that had the chick with the blue hair and the red hair. That one was not so great. At least it didn't really click with me. I heard a lot of good things about it. Like Engage is what it was. A lot of people liked it, but I had gotten my fill with Three Houses too in 2021. So I think there was that with it. The Fire Emblem games have a sameness to them in the combat. So after a while, it's like you've played one, you've played them all. And I know they mix things up, and Engage seemed to do that, but Fortune's Weave seems to be doing it even more just in the aesthetic itself. So I'm looking forward to maybe checking that one out. We'll see. I'll have to wait until it comes out and gets reviews and things like that. But of course, the other big one that they showed off a little bit more of was Metroid Prime 4, which comes out December 4th. So excited about that. Got a release date officially. So that's awesome. A lot of people were saying it was going to get pushed, but nope. It'll be here just in time for Christmas. And it's going to have a bike in it. Okay. I don't know how I feel about that. It looks interesting. That's all I can say. We'll have to see how it plays. I mean, it's a cool concept. If this is what they did in the reboot, though, to make it even better, I'm like, okay, I really hope that the world itself is still absolutely incredible. That's really what makes a Metroid game, is the exploration of the world itself. So they really got to nail that. I hope they do. I'm assuming they do. And I'm also assuming that the bike ends up being a great complement to that world and not some silly trick to make it seem like there's more substance there than there actually is. The Viola bike and some psychic abilities as well that Samus will have. It looks gorgeous. I'm really looking forward to it. I love Metroid Prime, and it's been a really long time, so definitely excited for it. There's also going to be a Pokemon game, Pokopia. Cool. That comes out in 2026. So it had a little bit more of like a Animal Crossing vibe to me, kind of like farming and crafting vibe. So if you're interested in that, you play as a Ditto, which was kind of creepy, not going to lie. But to each their own. And Pokemon fans, I'm sure will love it. So that'll be great. I am looking forward to Pokemon Legends, which they announced some new DLC that goes with that, which is really funny to me that they have DLC announced before the game even comes out. That's always very silly to me. Like, just put it with the game, Like, come on. Like, you're really going to break it up like that? But I get it. It's a business, and they're trying to make money. Alongside the DLC side of things, they also had a DLC for Donkey Kong, which looks cool. It's already out. Thought about getting it, but instead I put the $20 into Silksong, and I'll be playing Silksong after I'm done with Hollow Knight. At some point, maybe I'll pick it up. That's something I feel like they should have put into the Nintendo Switch Online, because that was always their promise, was if you had the Online Plus category or whatever it is, the extra tier, you should get the DLC. And I have that. Maybe it is, and I haven't looked, but from what I understand, it's still separate, and you have to pay for it. Emerald Rush and the Donkey Kong Island DLC, which is, to me, a little wild. Definitely a little crazy. So we'll see if I ever end up getting to that. I liked Donkey Kong Bonanza. It has not stuck with me as much as I thought it would. So we'll see about the DLC at some point. Maybe I'll get that. Kirby Air Riders coming out. Some excitement around that. They showed off the new Hyrule Warriors game, Age of Imprisonment. That looked really great. Mario Bros. Wonder is getting a new multiplayer plaza addition to it, which actually reminded me a lot of the Game Boy Advance games, where they would have, and even the DS games would have, like the Mario games would come with these extra mini games with them. And this is kind of like that. It's like these extra modes that are all kind of thrown into this one cohesive package of DLC for the Switch 2 version. Looks cool. As an older guy now, almost in my 30s, I don't know if this really applies to my life, but people who want to play that, more power to you. I mean, it looks like it'd be fun if you had a bunch of, brothers or sisters or friends that you could play it with. I don't. At some point, maybe my kids will be old enough and I can do that sort of thing, but right now, definitely not the case. Talking Flower accessory also announced that. No way do I want that ever near me, ever. That was the most annoying part of that game. Yoshi game also got announced. Yoshi and the Mysterious Book. Looks good. I love the children's book aesthetic. Again, I have kids, so I have a lot of those. I have become very familiar with children's literature, something I never would have said even 5-10 years ago, but here I am. And it's cool. Like, the Yoshi game looks really good. A lot of people really wanted the yarn or the craft aesthetic, my wife in particular. So she was a little bummed about that, but I feel like it's a really cool way of approaching Yoshi yet again with a unique aesthetic. So added to the addition of all the other ones that they've done. New Mario Tennis game. That looks great. I really love the Mario Tennis game for the Switch. I think severely underrated, and this one looks like it's going to be continuing that and adding its own little twists. They talked about Tomodachi Life a little bit. That just looks wild and weird to me. No interest in that. Virtual Boy's getting Nintendo Classics. Also, no interest in that. Virtual Boy was pretty notorious at the time it came out, and they're promoting it again. I'm like, okay. I mean, I get it. It's a piece of history, but like, can we get some games on the Nintendo GameCube instead? Like, can we get some games on N64 that aren't there instead? Like, there's a lot of Switch Online that hasn't been built out yet. And there are some obvious titles that are missing. Twilight Princess, guys, come on, let's do that instead of the Virtual Boy. But whatever. Okay, I'm running out of time here. They also talked about Resident Evil Requiem coming to the Switch. That's awesome. Hades 2 got a announced release date too, September 25th. That, everybody's going to be loving that. Really looks incredible. I will be playing that at some point too. Loved the original game. The best roguelike, pound for pound, that you could ever play is Hades. So Hades 2, more of that with even more in-depth twists to it and some unique weapons. So really looks awesome. Monster Hunter Stories 3 was mentioned and discussed. Stormlancers was mentioned and discussed, and I think that actually came out on the day. Fatal Frame 2 remake, cool. Those games have always kind of piqued my interest, but have never actually pulled the trigger on it. Power Wash Simulator, cool. Stardew Valley Nintendo Switch 2 edition, cool. Dragon Quest 7 Reimagined, not for me. I do have Dragon Quest 11S that I want to play through, so maybe these games will be for me after I've tried that, but I do want to do that one first. A bunch of other ones that were coming. I'll just list them off real quick. Dynasty Warriors Origins, Danganronpa 2, Pop-U-Com was a original game that's going to be launching on Nintendo Switch this holiday. Final Fantasy VII Remake is coming to it with Intergrade involved. Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection, Overcooked 2, Nintendo Switch 2, One Piece Pirate Warriors 4, Linked Banner of the Spark, kind of looked interesting. Roguelike plus life sim hybrid where you salvage robot parts to rebuild the community. Okay. Human Fall Flat, Little Nightmares 3, EA Sports FC, Lego Voyagers, Disgaea 7, Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD 2D, Virtua Fighter 5, and 2 Point Museum. There's a lot of really good games that were discussed in this. Obviously, the highlights are the Mario releases, Metroid Prime, and Fire Emblem. But this was an awesome Direct and had a lot of really good stuff in it. So they are obviously showing that they are gears turning, things are moving, and there's a lot of exciting things coming out. Filled out their holiday for my interests, and I'm looking forward to enjoying my Switch 2 this winter and going into next year. There's still some things that I hope do eventually pop up. A Mario 3D game that would have been awesome to have announced alongside all this other stuff. But I get it. They just released Donkey Kong, and they want to give Donkey Kong its time in the sun. I hope there is a Mario game in development. Maybe not. It's been a while since Mario Odyssey, so we're definitely jonesing for one. That was 2017. And anytime they have that one figured out, Nintendo, please feel free to drop that one. But we get a Metroid game. Like I said, we just got Donkey Kong. Zelda's, I'm sure, on its way too. So there's a lot that I'm sure we'll be getting in the Switch 2's future, just not in its first and second year. Which, by the way, second year, next year, could still be a thing. So we'll see. I could be getting ahead of myself. All right. Well, that's our main news of the week. Let me also talk about Hollow Knight. Hollow Knight is obviously a famous Metroidvania game that has a lot of following to it. I was going to say cult following, but it's not. I mean, it's a mainstream following at this point, and it was always praised and lauded for its world, specifically how mysterious it is and how even obtuse it is. It's hard to play on a level of just like you get lost a lot in the game, And you can look up guides and stuff and have it direct you, but I agree with, I was listening to Gene Park, who is a video game writer at the Washington Post, and he was talking about how, like, that's really not the way to play the game. Like, don't use a guide, which I admittedly, this time playing through it, and this is my 4th attempt at the game, I have used a guide just here and there to help keep things moving, where it's like I could be lost for hours on end, and I don't want to have that happen just because of my life and my limited amount of time that I play games. So I've looked up, like, okay, which area should I generally go to next? And then I'll head in that direction. But I don't look up any specifics. I'm not looking up NPC quests. I'm not looking up what items are in which area or where to go to first. It's kind of just what to do next and letting that kind of prod me on. And I feel like that's worked really well because I've tried this game. Like I said, this is my 4th time. I've tried this 3 other times before, and I've never gotten very far. The first time I played it, I dropped it real fast because I got lost real fast. The second time I tried it, I got far enough into it, and I think something else just swept me up, and I ended up leaving it for that reason. Third time, I got decent into the game. I got into, there's like a royal city you can find. I didn't get into Deep Nest, but I got into the area that's right next to Deep Nest, which is one of the more notorious places, actually, where I am right now in the game. And I'm a little bit later in the actual sequence of the game from what I understand, but I'm now going back to, you can go to Deep Nest much earlier, and I'm going back to Deep Nest now and kind of exploring that. But the world is, it repels a little bit, kind of like Dark Souls games do, where like if you're not willing to put up with getting lost and the run back between bosses and some of the other like Souls-ish elements of, losing all of your stuff if you die on the way, all the enemies resetting and so on and so forth, it can be tough. Like, and the combat itself is tough enough. It's not the hardest game I've played, but man, those Hornet fights, I just played Hornet the second time, or maybe it's the third time. It's whenever she like really grants you, like, you are the next person to take over the kingdom. And she kind of opens up the way for you and helps you to progress in your ability as a shade, which, spoilers, sorry. At that point, like that particular boss fight, I was like, okay, yeah, this game has some tricks up its sleeve. And there's a lot of really great movement to the game. I love the way it feels. I think the actual feel of the jumping, of the slashing of the little nail that you have, the different move sets that you can get and unlock, very Metroidvania-esque, is, I don't think with peer. Like, there's no peer. Meaning, like, there's other games that are close to that. The Metroid games, for sure, are a comparison to how good Hollow Knight feels. From what I understand, Castlevania is too. I'm actually trying to get into Symphony of the Night as well, but with Hollow Knight going on, I'm going to wait to play that next. From what I understand, those games feel really great too, but this one, I think, is just nigh perfect. And that's really the thing that I'd say at the end of the day for Hollow Knight, is that this game is not novel in any way, shape, or form. It is a conglomeration of all the other ideas of Metroidvania, but it does them all incredibly well. Like, as well as you can imagine. The world itself is wonderful. Like, it's terrifying because you get lost. There's a lot of really intense areas where you're having to platform very carefully, or there's just a pile of enemies that show up out of nowhere, and it gets tough. But it's worth it. And the vibes are just off the charts when it comes to this particular game. The music is melancholy but beautiful. It's gorgeous, the music in and of itself. This is one of the few games I've actually intentionally like made sure I'm not listening to something like a podcast. I'm not listening to music. I'm not talking to anybody. I just get absorbed into the game because I do think the atmosphere of it is just that good. So that part is without peer almost. Again, other than some of those like classic great Metroidvanias. But as far as other than Metroid and Castlevania, this game, I feel like there's nothing that holds a candle to the world itself. Or the combat. The gameplay itself is also silky smooth. Yeah, it can be frustrating. Yeah, there's some problems when it comes to runbacks, or when it comes to difficulty spikes, or when it comes to just you getting completely lost or not knowing what to do next, and it doesn't really point you in any direction at all. You are just there to figure it out yourself. But it feels so good, man. And it rewards you like a Souls-like game would, where, you beat a boss and you're like, yes! Or like a Metroid game will, where you find a new item and you're like, yes, that opened up this whole other thing. Like, oh, now I can go into this area, or I have the double jump now and I can reach this one ledge that I've been dying to try to figure out what's over there. And it does that over and over and over. So it just combines all the best aspects of a Metroidvania into one package, and I can see why it has become such a popular thing. And I haven't even gotten to the DLC yet. I'll be playing Silksong very soon after this, so there's still a lot to love, and I'm just enjoying Hollow Nest for what it is. And Hollow Nest is the world, not the title of the game. So I'll leave you with this. This is my 4th attempt to get into Hollow Knight, and I'm glad I finally stuck to it. There's something truly special about this Metroidvania, and although it doesn't necessarily introduce concepts novel to itself, it does combine the best ideas that the genre has to offer into one near-perfect package. Hollow Nest is a world you don't want to miss out on. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you next week on Checkpoint Radio.